Hey, I'm Caleb with Woodshop, and welcome to a maybe unusual video. Close to 2 years ago, I did a video where I made some wooden earplugs out of walnut and poplar, and I've gotten a lot of comments concerned over safety and wood toxicity. It's come up in some other videos too. It's a very touchy subject, and it could be controversial, but I decided that Adam and I would get together and we would discuss this. I just want anybody to know, if you were somebody that commented on that video with any concerns, the point in this video, we're not trying to be inflammatory or controversial in any way, purely based on information that I am aware of. I am aware that you may know something that I don't, so if you have any sources or anything, please leave them down in the comments. I'm always open for new ideas. This could be a controversial subject. I don't want it to be on the channel. I hope that this will be educational and maybe we can all learn something. So let's join me and Adam to talk about some of this touchy stuff. Alright, Adam, as I progressed on YouTube doing woodworking, I've discovered that, certain things have certain reactions.
Yeah.
And the way I run this YouTube channel, where I have just a random project every single Friday, there's no one way of telling what video is going to catch on. One of my very first videos on this channel was when I made those plugs and gauges.
Yep.
Which I learned from plugs.
Yeah, don't call them gauges.
As I was corrected,
call them plugs.
I was corrected many times over. So one of the recurring themes I keep seeing coming up in comments, this also goes outside of just the plugs video. It happened in my first beer mug video and a couple other things with finish and wood choice. But the recurring theme is the safety around different species of wood and the finishes that you use
For different applications.
So the one I hear it the most on are the gauges. And
Plugs.
Right.
We gotta nip this in the bud or else we're gonna keep getting corrected.
Yeah. The first time I heard of it was like the craftsmanship, but mentioned he said donk most people's ears up, man. Don't want to donk up nobody's ear.
I definitely don't want my ears donked.
They'll donk up pretty bad with the wood glue, those types of wood, and the lacquer. And he advises don't recreate it as it is in the video. And then said, be careful with both of these woods. They could be irritants for your ears. You wouldn't find many reputable shops carrying poplar or walnut plugs. Today, I heard from Saul, who wanted an update on your ears, saying that both these woods are going to be toxic, so can't imagine that your ears are still okay.
They are. To be fair, I didn't wear those a lot because they were a little too big for my ears personally. I mean,
a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Saul is glad that your ears are fine.
Thank you, Saul.
There's some information we could get out there that I think will help with it. And then I could just pin this video at the top of that comment section so people could refer to that so we don't have to do this all the time. Toxic wood, glue, and then coated them with the spray lacquer, which is all bad advice for jewelry. From the information I have gathered, let's start with the wood, because that's one thing I hear the most mentioned, is poplar and walnut are not suitable for that application. You would be hard-pressed to find any species of wood, blanket statement over any species of wood you can think of, that does not contain some sort of sensitizer or toxin within the wood. These are 100% natural materials you're working with. They have things inside of them that keep other plants at bay from their zone, And walnut does have a chemical in it called juglin. Juglin. But it's a chemical within walnut that keeps other plants and trees away from it. And it is a toxic chemical. Every single wood you could think of, used in jewelry or not, is a sensitizer, which basically means it comes down to you as an individual may or may not have a reaction to that wood. And walnut is one of those. I actually found much less information on poplar being toxic, and I think one of the key things to get down to is a lot of people want to keep throwing the word toxic out there. Toxic. You look up the definition of toxic, it takes you straight to poisonous.
Right, which includes ingestion.
Yeah, you look up the definition of poison, and the definition is a substance or plant that causes or can cause illness or death when taken into the body.
Okay. It's possible that, I don't know, there's obviously different dynamics because, people make things that people eat out of walnut and out of poplar, all the time. So, I mean, it could be that it's different when it sits in your earlobe all day. I really don't know.
It could be if you have no reaction to it, then you're probably fine. It could be almost like you could think of it almost like a nut allergy. Some people may have a reaction, most will not. It will tell you, if you look into it, reactions are very uncommon. And in most cases, any risk of harm is not to the consumer, it's to the woodworker, because 99% of these cases it's the dust. Especially inhaling it.
The only other
is no good.
When we're specifically talking about plugs, the only other possibility that I could see where they could be toxic and actually get into your body is, if you had just stretched your earlobes and the skin stretched open a little bit. Because that happens.
I know you've had some that you bought.
Yeah.
That are wood.
These are wood. And I don't know, maybe there's specific treatments for wood that...
It looks a lot like ebony. And ebony, I was looking at an index of toxic woods, and just about every wood I've ever known is on there. And ebony was on there as a sensitizer, skin, and respiratory irritant.
I mean, maybe there's a misnomer. Maybe this is just a confusion between, toxic being something to eat that would poison you, and what actually you make jewelry out of and then wear it.
Now, you can go on Google and you could look up walnut jewelry, and there's a limitless option, and not just from hobbyist woodworkers, I mean from companies and businesses that sell walnut jewelry. And
right.
Necklaces, bracelets,
rings,
earrings. I've seen wooden rings, watches.
Yeah, and I can't really see any difference between wearing a ring all day that's made out of walnut and something that's in my earlobes all day.
There's a website called Woodworkers Source that talks a bit about the wood toxicity. It mentions how with so many woods that do have slight to more than slight toxicity in them, woodworkers are often curious about what's safe or not, because things like baby cribs are real popular, and especially food utensils.
Well, yeah, of course.
Food utensils, cutting boards, very popular projects. So how do you know what you're using is safe? They gave a long answer and a brief answer. Their TLDR said verbatim, a sealed and finished wood poses no toxic risk. I'll include a link in the description if you want to go over the entire article and see what they have to say about it. Again, most of the time the danger comes from the dust. Dangerous dust.
Danger dust.
And that is more towards the woodworker and the person breathing it and surrounded by it and exposed to it. But if I hand you a finished sealed piece and you use it, even on a regular basis, maybe not on a daily basis, but on a regular basis, you're going to go on to live a long, healthy life, man. Yeah.
So, Saul also mentioned something about the glue and the finish.
Yeah, I was going to go more into finish. So I've heard people say things about lacquer on other videos. Wood finish is a really touchy subject. There's nothing wrong with being concerned about your health. Anytime I use lacquer or wipe-on poly on a project that may be used somehow in the kitchen or otherwise, I always put a disclaimer. I say, if you feel uncomfortable with this, you could use mineral oil, butcher block conditioner. Those are all completely food-safe finishes that will...
you could eat them themselves, right?
You could if you wanted to.
You'd be
slicked up
get
inside.
the slicks.
The thing about finishes, though, and this also comes directly from Woodworker's Source, every single clear top coat finish is completely safe when it's dry. Somebody else had mentioned on that video that they wouldn't trust it even when dry. Again, I say, if you decide to make it and you feel uncomfortable with it, mineral oil. Now, that was a very early video, so I did not have that disclaimer in that video.
Well, you don't want to coat say a cutting board with polyurethane. Obviously, nothing that you would be abrading the finish. You'd want to stick with an oil.
Then you would chip that finish in your food. Woodworkers Source, and I'm going to quote them verbatim. They asked the question, "What about sealer or finishes?" So it says, solvent-based finishing products, lacquer, varnish, etc., are highly toxic in their liquid state, but cured lacquer and varnish finishes are perfectly safe. It's almost like the wood dust. The threat is from an inhalation.
Probably a lot of it is the fact that it's it's not aerosol. Aerosol is illegal now, but the thing that makes it liquid that evaporates out of it could be the poison.
It is. What keeps it in its liquid form is where the danger's at, and all that evaporates out of it, leaving you with a nice, hard, clear shell.
It's danger juice.
It's danger juice, man. Dried and finished, it is completely safe. You can eat off of it. It's what it's made for. It's made to be handled and touched and interacted with. Any furniture you buy from a store, any wood stuff you buy out of a store, they finish it with its HVLP sprayed lacquer, which is regular brushing lacquer that's thinned down and put in, those big, like, industrial sprayers. Mm-hmm. And the glue issue. So I've heard this on the old beer mug video too, and on the gauges, was that the wood glue is toxic. The wood glue of my choice is Titebond 2. You can go to Titebond's website. I'll include some pictures here with us and a link in the description. A PVA glue is the same thing as like Elmer's school glue.
Which is obviously non-toxic because they let kids use it and kids eat fucking everything.
And they have an index on their website because a lot of people want to know what's the difference between Titebond Original 2 and 3. And it's a different thing, but they have an overview of what's inside of all three formulas, and they say conform to ASTM D4236, non-toxic and safe to use.
Okay, so that's conforming directly
to a federal standard.
To a federal standard. You could argue with if you wanted to, but I mean,
you wouldn't drink it, but it's safe and non-toxic. And again, people at Titebond know what their customer base is doing with their glue.
Do you remember the clear blue Elmer's glue?
Yeah.
That shit was lit.
Yeah, in that initial video on my channel, I was not very well educated. Well, plugs for one.
Yeah, plugs.
I was still trying to find my YouTube style, because that's a cringy video for me to go back and watch, TBH.
I mean, to be fair, I'm the one with plugs, and Caleb did that video because he needed a project and wanted to make something for somebody else. He's not part of this world.
Very true, and I think the same could be said for some of the folks with the concern on the woodworking side of things.
People with gauges people with plugs, I do it too, intersect with woodworking. If you make plugs...
If I make plugs out of walnut and poplar, and you don't like walnut and poplar, I am not telling you have to make these out of walnut and poplar. I am showing you a method that I am using to make these, and you can use whatever materials you want to make them. I think you would be hard-pressed to find a wood you can use for plugs. Promise you could look up any wood and it's going to be listed as a sensitizer. A sensitizer is something that can cause irritation to your eyes, your breathing, and your skin. Summary, in most of these cases, the real threat is to the woodworker. It's not to the recipient of the end product. The danger is in the making.
It's in the making. And the making's in the bacon.
Yeah, maple bacon, man. and see, that's the thing with wood in general, is it's used so much in our lives in ways that directly interact with our health. Like, walnut is used not just on a hobbyist woodworking scale, but on a commercial scale to make spoons, knives, just random kitchen utensils, cutting boards, all things that have direct contact with food that you're consuming. And same with, maple and cherry and all these other woods. I admit the whole thing about the walnut poplar wood being a sensitizer, but I still stand by those plugs.
This has been a Means Woodshop public service announcement.
So anyways, that is the topic we wanted to discuss today. I think it's one that needed to be talked about, and I don't want to come across to anybody like I'm trying to be inflammatory. I feel like we're having a discussion.
We appreciate your input.
So I appreciate that, so I hope it doesn't come across as we're being spicy. I just wanted to share the information on the woodworking side of things that I'm aware of. I never want to put out a video that I'm doing something wrong. I will do what I believe is safe and things that I know, but there's always a chance I don't know something. I mean, I'm putting the videos out there, but that doesn't mean that I'm, know everything. I hope we can all be friends.
Me too.
Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it educational. I would be definitely open to discourse down in the comments. Everybody just be cool to each other, man. Subscribe to this channel because I have brand new woodworking videos every single Friday. We follow up on those projects every Wednesday, so you can click that notification bell so you don't miss a video. You couldn't make it.
What were you in the middle of saying?
I was just gonna say thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.